21-day.
I'm in.
This is wet aged. I don't know what that means, but it really sounds good. And then I thought, well, maybe I could get 28 days. I'm going to do a taste test. We're going to do this right after the show. So I have 21 and 28. This is wet. This is dry aged. We're going to learn some things today.
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay. Just want to let you know that's coming up. Then there's this is for other days.
More treats?
That's 75
I was going
days.
to say, it looks different. It's darker.
Yeah, that's 75 days. What else do we have here? That is 21. This is 28.
That's older.
That's 75.
Like those steakhouses in New
Man,
York.
I really miss the Danettes not being in here to share in this.
So I got to stay late today.
Yeah, we're going to have some steak.
30 seconds.
We got to do some homework. Oh, this is a tough job here. This is our friends from Flannery, beef. Governors of New York, Texas, and California said yesterday they will support the return of professional sports. Now, it looks like it's going to be without fans. And it's a good sign for people rooting for the return of sports. There was particular concern about New York and California. But now that they're okay with teams coming back, leagues can really get to work planning this out. Maybe you don't have to have a plan B. Maybe you're able to carry out plan A. But it feels like plan B and plan C are still on the agenda. Various practice facilities are opening up around the nation. Some of the NFL teams are opening up. It feels like there's movement. And I know it's been at a snail's pace, or at least it feels that way. But it feels like once one team, one league, one commissioner makes a decision, then others will follow. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Major League Baseball laid out a set of restrictive guidelines that are going to be hard to meet here. The NFL is reportedly looking at, can they incorporate the medical mask into the game? Not hearing much from the NBA. And I view that as a good sign because it feels like when these commissioners are talking, it feels like they're putting things out for the media to disseminate, for us to provide opinions on it, and then they go back to the drawing board. Feels like the NBA is saying, let's emerge with a plan, stick to the plan, and see if we can make this happen. It's a long process, but having buy-ins from the governors of the three biggest states is an important step and a reason to be cautiously optimistic that we're going to have a full slate of sports returning. Here is the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, on returning in June.
Sporting events, pro sports in that first week or so of June without spectators and modifications and very prescriptive conditions also can begin to move forward, and a number of other sectors of our economy will open up again if we hold these trend lines in the next number of weeks, and that includes, for example, getting a haircut.
Okay. Now, you realize how quickly this has changed. To last week where the governor said, hey, we're going to extend this for 3 more months, the stay at home. Now, here we are. That's why when you make these arbitrary deadlines, this is when we're coming back, this is what we're going to do, it's fluid. Hopefully, we're able to, you get one chance, it feels like, to do this right. And that's what the leagues have to understand. You got one chance, do it right, so you don't have a second wave or a backlash or something goes wrong. You ensure that this is the best we can do, and we're going to try it. Because it feels like if it doesn't, that's when seasons get shut down. Here is the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, on opening for business.
I also have been encouraging major sports teams to plan reopenings without fans, but the games could be televised. New York State will help those major sports franchises to do just that. Hockey, basketball, baseball, football, whoever can reopen, we're a ready, willing, and able partner.
And he's a big Buffalo Bills fan, so he says he wants to see the Buffalo Bills. It's going to happen. The question is, what's it going to look like when it happens? What's it going to feel like when it happens? I go back to 9 weeks ago. That's when the sports world changed. That's really when the world changed. That's when our country changed. March 11th, Wednesday saw the sports world response escalate dramatically. It ended the day with the NBA suspending its season. We started out with the World Health Organization declaring the virus a pandemic. Baseball then was starting to look at alternative sites. They weren't sure what they were going to be able to do, contingency plans. Could they play baseball in an empty stadium? The NBA considered the same initiatives. The Warriors announced they would play home games without fans in the foreseeable future. Then the Ivy League canceled all spring sports. They canceled their basketball tournament. The Ivy League canceled their basketball tournament for the team to go to the NCAA. That caught our attention, but then people responded by saying, yeah, but it's not a moneymaker for the Ivy League, so this isn't a big deal. Okay, this is all on the same day. So the Ivy League did that. NCAA announced it would hold March Madness without fans after days of pressure to do so. You also had Rudy Gobert test positive for the virus. The NBA promptly suspended its season indefinitely. That's all on March 11th. 5 NBA teams quarantined after potential exposure to coronavirus from Rudy Gobert. The next day, March 12th, Donovan Mitchell of the Jazz tested positive. One day after his teammate Rudy Gobert tested positive. MLS suspended its season for 30 days. The ATP shut down for 6 weeks. U.S. Soccer called off its men's national team and women's national team friendlies. Every power conference in the NCAA canceled their conference tournaments. Big 10, Pac-12, Big East, ACC, Big 12, SEC decided to end their seasons because of the virus. Multiple NFL teams limited travel for coaches and scouts. They were getting ready for the NFL draft. Baseball announced that it would delay the beginning of the season for a minimum of 2 weeks. This is all within a span of 48 hours. NBA announced that they would suspend play for at least 30 days before reassessing. Basketball tournaments were canceled, men's and women's, on March 12th. Rudy Gobert came out and apologized for people that I endangered. And after round 1 of the PGA Championship, the PGA Tour on Thursday night canceled the event until the Masters. All events. That's 2 days, and it's been a long 9 weeks. We're hopeful. We want it to come back. It kind of signifies that the spirit we have. We can make it through this. This helps. I understand all of those things. If you were covering Jordan now in that last year with the questions that have emerged from that, like how would you approach that as an NBA insider of, the flu game or the food poisoning game, Jerry Krause, Phil Jackson, can you bring him back? Like, could you let us into your world of how you think you would have approached that in today's world?
I think the one difference, Dan, might have been, and there was immortal NBA writers, media then, who are covering it day to day. I think there's more attention now on the salary cap and the financial impact of the decision Scottie Pippen might have had on a 1-year, $14 million deal versus doing the sign and trade. I think there would have been more attention paid to the economics and the cap and how difficult it would have been to bring the whole group back. I think that's probably a small difference in it.
Not the other stuff with Jordan?
I think it was all covered. I just think it was covered in newspapers. It was covered on Sports Center. I don't get the sense it wasn't all covered. I just think that the platforms were different and it didn't inundate us like it might with social media now.
But how would social media have affected Michael Jordan?
Ooh, good question. It's affected every great player that I've ever covered or been around. And because if you're looking for slights, like, hey, listen, social media is not the place to go for self-affirmation. Like, if you're looking to feel better about yourself, it's generally not the place you'd go, probably even for Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Now, when you're talking about site or sites, are we talking about Vegas, Orlando? Are those the two sites that are in conversations?
That's right, Dan. And Orlando has had a lot of traction. And I think the question is going to be, are they going to put all the teams in one place? Or are they going to perhaps have teams moving among two sites based on an Eastern Western Conference scenario. But the one thing Adam Silver has told the players and told the owners, what he doesn't want are teams flying around. You're not going to see what baseball's proposing, which is teams moving around playing in home stadiums. The NBA is focused on a one site, no fans. And then they're going to deal with trying to get back into arenas again, buildings again for the start of next season.
Are the power brokers involved in this? Chris Paul, LeBron James, some of the other notable players with the commissioner?
Chris Paul is the president of the Players Association, so he's very much in that conversation. Dan, him, Michelle Roberts, Adam Silver, they talk frequently. The one advantage that Silver has in this scenario, maybe even over baseball right now, I think there's a stronger relationship between the star players and the commissioner. Maybe not necessarily the owners, but the commissioner, and that helps in selling what has to be sold here, which is the one site concept. And he's gotten feedback from the players about how they feel about that bubble idea, what they might like and not like about it, because he really needs the cooperation of the Players Association and by extension, really the star players, because they do drive maybe more than any other sport. I think they drive the conversation among the 450 players in the league. And if you can sell your star players on what it is that you want to accomplish, how you need to do it, they can go out and start selling it with their peers too. And Adam Silver's understood that. And he has made his star players a big part of the conversation, because there's a lot of real difficult economic conversations coming between the union and the players, or the union and the league. And they're going to have to alter how the salary cap looks for next year, and luxury tax, and a lot of boring, dry financial topics that are going to absolutely have a big impact on competitive balance in the league. What the league's really worried about, Dan, is not so much what happens this summer, but what happens next year if they can't have fans in arenas, or if they have to have like a social distancing situation with fans, where in a 20,000 seat arena, maybe you can only have 4,000 or 5,000 people. And how do you manage that? Because the revenue stream of the league, 40% of it depends upon basically game night receipts.
All right, I got roughed up on Chat Row where they're going, "It's dry rub, Dan." I don't know if they sounded like that. And I said, no, it's dry aged. We have steaks here, Flannery beef here, and it's dry aged. This is 21 days wet aged. I have no idea what that means, okay? And then this one is 28 days dry aged. And we were going to do a taste test, Paulie and I, and make this after the show. That's all. And then Chat Row jumps in and says, it's dry rub. I know the difference between dry aged and dry rub. He's Sean Casey, former Major League Baseball All-Star, MLB Network analyst, three-time All-Star, wearing a Smedium here. He's a member of the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame. What are you doing with the T-shirt there?
Wait a minute, I'm just so jacked, Dan. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's an XL. What does it look like, a medium here?
It does. Give me a double gun. Give me both
you
barrels.
Want a double gun?
Both barrels.
Double barrel,
Whoa.
baby. I gotta get these things licensed. Smith & Wesson.
Have you been tested any lately, Sean?
Well, you know what, Dan? I thought I'd get in shape after I was done.
You are still as slow as you were when you played, right?
No, I'm slower than I was and in better shape. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
All right. Help me understand Major League Baseball. It feels like anything that's said at the home office is leaked to the media here. There's no secrets here with Major League Baseball. So what do you think is the best case scenario here for Major League Baseball?
Wow, you're right. I don't think there are any secrets. Seems like there's no secrets anymore in life. You know what I mean? But I think the best case scenario is hopefully, baseball, that they find a way to maybe get some games this year. I just feel like it would be great for everybody. But I do understand both sides, Dan, obviously coming from the player's point of view. But I do know Rob Manfred is one of the smartest guys out there. Tony Bettini, who's right next to him, those guys that are running baseball are so smart. They'll leave no stone unturned. Tony Clark over there with the lawyers that they have with the union, with the players, trying to figure this out. I do know that they will try and come to a conclusion that's good for everybody, that's good for the fans of baseball, that's good for the players and the owners. And we're just in uncharted territory. So some of the things that maybe flew in the past maybe won't now, and it just some of the things that the players have to do too to be able to go and play. I think they definitely need to be evaluated, but I think that both sides will figure it out, hopefully.
Would you play baseball if you were still on a roster?
You're asking me personally?
Yeah.
Yes, I would.
I'm just trying to understand, the risk with this, obviously the rewards. And then you hear Blake Snell of the Rays saying, it's not enough money for me to come back and play. Can you see the haves and the have-nots that, are big ticket item guys not going to come back? Or, the guys who have less money and as much to, like the league minimum. Like,
yeah.
Can you see where one or the other is going to say it's not worth me coming back?
I can see, both points of view there. I think one thing with, when you think about Mike Trout talking about he's about to have a kid and what if he's quarantined and, those kind of things, those are real things. And obviously, Dan, over the years with the money back and forth, I mean, obviously, both sides are going to fight for their rights, that's what it should be. And I think that's fair. But I do think, player safety and stuff like that with families and all that, definitely comes into account. But I think the teams will get together and figure out, what's best for each team. But I do understand the point of view of guys that, safety for their families and stuff. Cause no one knows, But I do think what they say, there's going to be 10,000 tests a week and that each player, and if you do get it, you will be quarantined. And so I don't know, they're trying to do the best they can with what they have.
Yeah, but they're talking about you're not allowed to spit. And what happens, you're a first baseman. Are you holding somebody on first base? And then you can't have social distancing at first base, Sean.
Well, that's crazy. I was just talking to somebody this morning about that. And it reminded me of the story. I think I might have even told it on your show at one point when, social distancing. So what happens? Does the guy get his 4 foot, 5 foot lead off? And then are you allowed to pick over? And I still remember, I was social distancing with Henry Rodriguez my first year in the big leagues when, back in the day when, O. Henry, when he would homer in Montreal, they'd throw those O. Henry bars in the field. And I remember him getting off first. And that was like my second week in the big leagues. I'm all excited. And we're social distancing. He's about 6 feet away. And I said to him, hey, Henry, I really love it when they throw those O. Henry bars onto the field. And he turned to me and said, hey, thanks a lot, man. And right when he turned, Ron Vallone stepped over, poof, picked over. I caught it, and I said, oh, man, my bad, dude. I had no idea. He was going to pick over. I thought we were just social distancing 22 years early.
It's just there's a lot of questions. When they say you can't spit, can guys do that?
I don't know. Have you ever been into a big league dugout after the game when you look down? It looks like a murder scene. You're like, what happened here? There's dip spit. There's sunflower seed spit. There's freaking spit everywhere. Like, you got to be kidding me. Like, we need DNA tests to see what just happened here. So I can't imagine big leaguers could go a whole game not spit.
Imagine when they say you can't adjust yourself either. I mean,
there's so much to unpack here, but that's going to be a tough one.
You adjust yourself twice already during this interview here.
Exactly. I'm adjusting my shirt. You got me. You're in my head about the Schmedium comment. I'm an absolute mess right now.
You got a picture behind you. Is that Doc Gooden and Strawberry?
Oh, yeah.
And is Mike Tyson?
Oh, yeah. Mike Tyson, Strawberry, and Gooden. How about that? And then I got Jim Leland and my son this year at the World Series. But that Tyson, Gooden, and Strawberry one, that's a classic.
Wait, how did you get that?
I was at the Bat Awards baseball assistant team in New York a couple years ago. And this is an unbelievable story, Dan. We were, I go to the Bat Awards. I was in town for the network. And it turns out there was like the snow. I can't remember what it was, 5-6 years ago. There was that humongous snowstorm that hit New York,
Yep.
and no one came to the Bat Awards but me and like a couple other people. And they had all these unbelievable items, and I just start bidding on everything. And that was one of them. And then the other one was this one. How about this one right here?
Okay.
This one right here is unbelievable.
All right.
Wait, can you see it? Joe DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe. Can you guys see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Joe DiMaggio, Marilyn Monroe, and 2 signed checks from them, and I got that there too. So I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for that bat event because I got some unbelievable items. But Joe DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe signed checks are in my house too.
Is that the best memorabilia you have?
I think that the Joe DiMaggio Marilyn Monroe thing might be the best. And I remember there was 3 guys at the event, and they were all hovered around bidding on it. I was like, I'm getting this thing. I am getting this. I am getting Joe DiMaggio Marilyn Monroe in my house.
Great to talk to you. You must be driving the wife crazy. All your energy.
I'm driving everybody crazy. My 14-year-old daughter, I don't know if you have any, my teenage daughter is like, all right, you're one of the most annoying human beings alive. Please stop talking to me.
I have 3 daughters, and they're in their 20s. I've been there where you're the dumbest guy on the planet.
I'm so dumb. It's unbelievable. I'll go and talk to her. She's like, oh my gosh, you're so dumb. She plays guitar, Dan. So I've been having my guitar out, like, just ripping a couple tunes. And I'm like, hey, let's play a little Every Rose Has Its Thorn and sing along. She's like, oh, you're such a loser.
Let me hear a little bit. Let me hear a little bit.
Oh, you want to hear? All right. This is the only song I really.
This is Sean Casey, former baseball all-star.
I've never played nationally, but I'm terrible.
MLB Network analyst.
Wait.
Okay.
See? Well, here we go. Here you go, Dan. I changed the chord. Every rose has its thorn. I don't know. I do the best I can. I do the best I can, bro. It's just, that's why my daughter thinks I stink right there, because that's all I got. All I got's that.
Oh, it's great to talk to you. All right. We'll get some baseball here one of these days. Thank you, Sean. Great to check in with you.
All right, Dan. Great talking to you, bro. See you guys soon. Tell your boys hi too.
All right, Sean Casey. He's in the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame. Which stadiums do you think will have fans this upcoming season?
Well, I mean, look, and I'm trying to be apolitical here, but we have all been paying attention to the states where there is more commercial activity despite the pandemic. I think Florida, Georgia, Texas, those are states that I would point to and say it's likely that the stadiums will be open. And the message will be, we know the risks. You know your health situation as well as anyone. If you want to come to the game, come to the game. If you think you're at risk, don't come to the game. And I think states like that are more likely to have stadiums open. California, New Jersey, states that are likely to not have stadiums open. And yes, there will be a disparity. And, teams will have to ask themselves, do we want to stay at home for the season and play in an empty stadium? Or do we want to go somewhere else where we could sell tickets? I mean, I don't know how robust the fan base is going to be if you move the 49ers to Arizona for the year. But that's part of it, too, because you could have some fans versus having no fans at all. But I think that's going to be one of the practical realities as we get deeper into the calendar.
I was wondering about this, Mike, as we looked at the schedule in those first 4 weeks, and I was given a heads up. Look at the first 4 weeks and see if there's a way. Are there going to be NFC, AFC matches? Are there interconference, interdivisional, location of all of those things? And I started to wonder, okay, if we took those first 4 weeks and we moved it to the back of the schedule there, if the NFL, would they take that approach if it meant we would have a chance at fans in the stands? So you're going to postpone this and move it to the back, so that gives us an extra month to kind of figure this out. Your thoughts on that approach here?
Absolutely, Dan, absolutely. I think the NFL would explore delaying the start of the season, even if that means removing those first 4 weeks and tacking them on to the back end of the schedule, if it allows, from a political standpoint, not red state, blue state politics. I'm talking about working with the governors, working with the processes and the protocols behind the scenes to get people comfortable with taking the position. Stadiums are open if you want to show up. If that extra month makes enough of a difference that all stadiums will be open, I think the NFL is conducive to doing it. But Dan, on that point, something else I noticed in the schedule, I think it's been constructed where if they don't think delaying the first 4 weeks altogether would be beneficial, I think they are hell-bent on going forward with week one. When you look at all those great games that are scheduled for week one,
Yeah.
go with week one and then take a step back and reassess. And if something goes haywire, you can take the week two games. And all the teams that play in week two have buys the same week. You can push all those back into the bye weeks. Week three, week four, no divisional games. They can be wiped out or they can be tacked on at the back end. But I think if they do go forward with the schedule and without a delay based on, as you suggested, a full month to let stadiums open, it seems to me that they are ready to go week one, and then they would be willing to take a step back and see if any adjustment is necessary based upon the consequences of playing a full slate of games.
Camps are opening up a little bit. Facilities are opening up, but this isn't universal here, Mike. I'm surprised that the commissioner, is he going to say something about this? Or is there any unfair advantage with some of these teams having facilities open and other ones not?
Well, this is the first moment where the NFL has reached a point of disparity, Dan. 22 teams or thereabouts are in a position where state and local governments will allow them to open. Not all of them are opening right away, and some of them may take a little while, but 10 teams or thereabouts can't open at all. And look, there are going to be many situations like this. If the NFL is intent on getting 256 regular season games played, there will be disparities. There will be competitive disadvantages. And the NFL is smoothing this one out by saying no coaches are permitted at any team facility. But still, you've got teams that can fire up the lawnmower, get things rolling again, begin the process of planning for next year's draft, next year's free agency, have front office people there, have meetings, etc. And as we get closer and closer to the start of the season, Dan, I think we're going to see more of it. And the worst case scenario, and I think we have to be ready for it, some states where stadiums will be open and thus there will be a home field advantage. Other states where stadiums won't be open and teams will have no home field advantage. And I think that's unavoidable, but that's the extreme example of where there will be disadvantages as the NFL tries to play this season.
Fritzy, what did you learn today?
It's a positive sign that we're not getting more speculation from the NBA as to when they're coming back.
I think it is that we haven't heard anything, and I think that's a good thing. And we had Woj on, and he says maybe Orlando is going to be the destination. Maybe you have Las Vegas and Orlando for the West Coast teams and the East Coast teams when they start the playoffs. Where do you play the championship? The NBA Finals, probably on Orlando. McLovin, what did you learn?
Sean Casey is not great at guitar.
It's all about trying, McLovin. Seton O'Connor.
I learned there's a slight window of possibility that every single Michael Jordan conspiracy theory for that night is true. Maybe he was in Vegas and at Robert Redford's and ate the pizza.
With five guys. Paulie, what'd you learn?
Sean Casey, former Major League Baseball player, now his career is over, is getting in great shape.
What we learned brought to you by Traeger. They want to help make this summer the tastiest one ever. Real wood-fired flavor, next-level versatility, 6-in-1 versatility. Contact your local dealer or go to TraegerGrills.com/DP show to get yours today. Thanks for joining us. Talk to you tomorrow. Dan Patrick Show. I'm going to have to put this under lock and key.